Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jacob YamatoCannon. I'm a bit sick. I have a bit of a cold. That's why I'm sounding like I just woke up or something. So I have a bit of a cold, so bear with me. Today we're going to watch Cloud9 vs Divals. I haven't seen this game yet. I've only peeked at the draft. In this case, absolute craziness because Tristana ban blue side. Usually should be even an additional prompt to ban Kalista. Kalista goes through, Cloud9 get the Kalista in trade for a Jarvan, which in some cases is fine, right? Because there's a Jarvan flex, it can go into the jungle, it's completely fine. It's also a good blind pick top, but it's not necessarily something that would just carry you the game, right? The difference between Jarvan and Kalista is going to win most bot lane matchups bottom, depending on support matchup, of course. And then Jarvan is going to be fine, right? He's going to be fine. So this is like a good pick to do. Sure, it's a great pick to do to take it away from blue side, but this trade is just not something you're happy with, right? Ashe is something that is fine into Kalista, but the problem comes in here when, the beauty of Kalista is that she has so many support options. In the past, it was very little. It was like Kalista, Thresh, Alistar, and that was it. Anything else was not that great with Kalista, but now you have endless possibilities. You have Rakan, you got Blitzcrank, you got a bunch of stuff, right? And even Janna works with Kalista. So Rakan is the go-to choice for Cloud9. I think in some cases this is risky. I think usually if you just want to hard some bot lane, going Kalista Thresh is the easiest way to do it. But Kalista Rakan is a lane that scales very, very well, and it's not bad at all, right? Cho'Gath as the blind pick, mostly for top lane. People mention sometimes that it can go jungle, but I think jungle Cho'Gath is pretty bad. Top lane, it has a fine matchup into Jarvan. I think Cho'Gath even wins this. I think Cho'Gath needs to be ganked in order for Jarvan to be able to snowball this. The response here is Sejuani. I think this is very wrong. I think Alistar should be picked here. You got the Jarvan flex. You don't need to expand additional resources into picking jungle early here. Maybe they think Sejuani is OP. I have no clue. I have no idea about Divos. I think picking Alistar was what the most important thing, because Alistar is the best support against Kalista and Rakan. Because I think this is a mistake as well here. I think Morgana is a good ban, but Alistar should have been the second ban, not Braum, because Braum is not that great against Kalista. Because what matters is that Kalista can stack her spears, and Braum shield just doesn't really matter, and it's also pretty hard to land Qs convincingly on Kalista, at least after the point she has boots and so on. And Alistar should have definitely been the ban in this case, to punish the fact that Direwolves didn't pick Alistar here, because for Cloud9 into a Jarvan flex, it's pretty awkward for them to ban junglers. Okay, so next rotation we see the Alistar pickup, which is the best support into Kalista Rakan. If you could argue that Morgana is also it, but I have a preference for the Alistar. I can see the arguments for Morgana because it's easier for Ashe. She has long range. She just wants to play with the range. The commit of all in is pretty bad for Alistar. Sure, Morgana has arguments as to why it's better than Ashe with Ashe than Alistar, but in general, I think Alistar's one. Braum, maybe they were planning to do the Ezreal pick and the Syndra pick, but to be honest, Ezreal is not that bad against Braum. It's just that Braum can eat his ult, but I don't think it matters too much. Braum has a weakness, not a weakness, but champions that have DPS over time is better against Braum, like Corki, Ezreal, because you are just spamming out spells, right? So like Syndra, you press R and you have like this burst going on. Like consistent DPS champions are good against Braum. Syndra pickup, which is completely fine. I'm pretty sure C9 have a lot of responses in the case where Direwolves would pick Syndra instead of the Alistar here, which would be a possibility if people think Syndra is the OP champ. But there is a lot of picks you can always pick into Syndra. The beauty of Syndra is she's always fine. She never hard loses any matchups. some matchups she gets outscaled, and there are champions that go into the split push, but Syndra doesn't fall off that hard. Like, she is always useful in a game. You can always find use for a Syndra in a game. Maybe if a team is completely designed to counter you, maybe it's hard, but you can always put Syndra into the mid lane. She's going to be the wave clear, she's going to be that CC, and a good damage source as well when she's reaching those passive levels where she reaches like level 13, where she has rank 5 on 2 spells. Those are good spikes for Syndra. So in general, it's a good champion, right? It's the best blind pick you can do. Something you could argue here is if Direwolves, you know, if they wanted to commit to this path, you know, sure, Orianna, LeBlanc, you can also pretty much blind pick them, so it's hard to pinch that for Cloud9. I think Cloud9 are pretty solid here in draft. I'm just considering in a case where the Galio and the Maokai ban maybe looked towards the mid lane. I guess in that case Cloud9 would just pick mid lane in the first 3. I think Cloud9 have a pretty well-rounded draft. Ezreal got picked up here, which is something that of course a lot of people think about, but Ezreal I think is a great pick here because the enemy team has Ashe, Sejuani, Alistar, Jarvan. Ezreal E is pretty OP in this case. Ezreal E is an escape against all of this crap. So you are going to be safe all game long with Ezreal. You're going to be fine, and you are not going to be under any threat, right? And C9 don't lack engage at all. They have the engage tools that are necessary to force a fight. They pretty much just needed something that doesn't die and puts out damage. So I like this pick. The only thing that I'm curious about when Ezreal, I've tried it a bit myself, and I found it really difficult to kill Raptors. Maybe I'm just terrible on Ezreal, but I felt like I feel whenever I play a jungler and I can't kill Raptors well, I feel slightly worse. But the early game spikes of Ezreal, pretty good. Double buff Ezreal is really powerful. Double longsword Ezreal is really powerful. In general, skirmish-wise, Ezreal is really strong. So it's easy for him to contest the river and make use of the pushing lanes that he has in both Syndra and Cho'Gath early on. I expect the bot lane to be a bit more explosive past 6 and maybe level 1. I think I would give it to Direwolves, but we will see. I think Ezreal is a great champ to punish the pushing of Cho'Gath and Syndra, and maybe she can even commit on some invades on Sejuani. Draft-wise, I think C9 definitely won, for sure. They have strong picks all across the board, and I'm not fan of the trade of Kalista and Jarvan. Like, why would you ban Xayah if you're leaving Kalista open? Like, what is the point? There's no point at all. Even then, like, it's just not worth it. Like, most teams have gone through the scenarios of leaving Kalista open, and in some cases it's fine if you at least have like a Tristana into it, because that's a champion that I would consider being fine against Kalista. But the rest, I don't know, because like, let's say they didn't ban Xayah, right? They would pick Xayah Rakan, or just Rakan and then aim for the Xayah. Then Kalista Alistar would still be really powerful. So I'm not too sure. You know, the only nerf Kalista's gotten is 30 seconds on ult, and I think this is something that matters more in solo queue more than anything. Alright, let's continue on to the game, yeah? Last pick was Vladimir. I think Vladimir is not the greatest pick into Syndra. I think if Syndra aims to, like, I think Vladimir got buffed in the matchup when Doran's Ring got nerfed, then Vladimir got a bit of a buff in the matchup, because usually what you want to do with Syndra is just play your lane. You didn't have enough mana to get through a Doran Shield Vladimir. Holy shit, look at the pause frame, man. He's hungry, man. He's super hungry. But the thing what you usually do with Syndra was that you pushed, you could maintain the push, and then eventually you base on the Dorans, and then you have enough mana to punish the Vladimir. I think you should aim for something similar. Syndra should be able to push this matchup for most of the duration, and Vladimir needs to look for all-ins on the Syndra when he reaches the breaking point of like level 7, level 9. Alright. Alrighty then. Direwolves. Show I deserve all the roasting you guys can give. However, I will improve and come at impact even harder tomorrow. Alright. It's a hard matchup to do so. The main thing here is Ezreal is a stronger jungler than Sejuani early on. Sejuani is more of the kind of farm type of jungler. Cho'Gath is going to push Jarvan. Syndra is going to push Vladimir. It's going to be a tough time for Jarvan in this game. I think he's going to end up being harassed under the turret. I'm just going to make sure that OBS is recording. Yeah, there we go. Alright. A red buff start with a leash. Interesting, interesting. I just want to check if Sejuani got leash, if they fake leashed. Yeah, they leashed. It was a leash for both junglers. So this is something that a lot of people do. You just do kind of a drive-by, kill 2 raptors. I'm wondering if he gets level 3 off of this by killing his blue. If 2 raptors are enough to get level 3, I'm not too sure. I'm just curious. Okay, it's not enough. Yeah, I was thinking if I was crazy, you know, because otherwise I was thinking, you know, every team would be doing this. It's legit. Okay, he does Gromp. Gromp is pretty convenient to kill for Ezreal, right? He has attack speed, Q, no AoE, a lot of single target damage. Alright. You see Cho'Gath is pushing up top. Syndra has full control in mid lane. She has level advantage. I am not sure what Sejuani was doing here. Oh, it's an early gank. That seems like it's gonna work. No, he missed his flail. Oh. Alright. The randomness of Sejuani paid off here. Really random, but keep in mind, you know, Ezreal's jacking his entire jungle right here. He's jacking his entire jungle. I would say it's worth it. Sejuani, you know, he can just catch up with that. Catch up mechanic, you know. No problem. Interesting. So they let the Cloud9 bot lane early push. They got juked by the fact because enemy bot lane leashed, right? So they assume Sejuani is going to go into top side. But I feel like the play here should have been, you know, in a case where Ezreal is doing this, then they should suspect something here. Because if Sejuani wasn't fapping around and running around here, then Sejuani would be in this area already. This gank is predictable, right? You could have... Their thought process is, oh, Sejuani started blue side, she's going to go into red side eventually at 3 minutes. Okay, understandable. But Sejuani is not showing up on the red. Maybe you could maybe you could argue that the play of Ezreal should have been that he went through Raptor, maybe spot Sejuani there, and then go into red buff to make sure. But I think this is a fair judgment that you can make. If Sejuani is not topside, then you just have to play this one out safer. Cloud9 bot lane. Got punished. Alright. Okay. Ezreal doing poppies. Hunter's potion. Sejuani coming at it again. She's going in for the gank. I guess it's a fine play. Like Sejuani, he doesn't have Q yet. He has his flame. TP's coming in. Cho'Gath. Jarvan's also TPing. Not too sure about the TP. Ezreal's pretty far away. Not a big fan of the TP. Ezreal's really far away. Storm Raider. I was experimenting a bit with Fervor Ezreal myself. I had more success with this. But Storm Raiders is pretty neat as well. Oh, contracts. Is that Uzi or contacts? Not quite Uzi. Oh. Okay. Alright. So let's take a step back, alright? Let's take a step back. Let's look at what Sejuani did and if it was noticeable somehow. Okay, so she didn't walk past to go to check her raptors. She's bot side for sure. And they're falling for the same gank path, the same as before. TP, I think they should just let go, man. They should just let go. Right here. Smoothie could have went for the 1-for-2, I think, if he just flashed. Enemy doesn't have any summoners. He could have just flashed after the 1-for-2. C9, like, Impact should have just stayed top, and it would have been good. I think it would have been very fine indeed. Okay, 5 kills for Direwolves, man. They are just insane. Kalista is just a bad champion, guys. It's just really useless. The sad part is that Alistair got all them kills. You know, he got Mobies, but I can't imagine. You know, like his roaming is not gonna matter that much. You know, if Cloud9 played correctly, they should have complete mid lane control because of Syndra into Vlad. Maybe when Vladimir pops off a bit more, maybe Alistar can transition this pressure into something. Well, it doesn't matter as well that Sejuani got the kill on Ezreal, so the double buffs are pretty juicy. This is like the weird transaction period where I find Ezreal quite weak. Where he doesn't have buffs, his ganks are mediocre, and his farming is very mediocre. So he's kind of like a Kayn, you know? He's kind of like a Kayn with a worse gank, you know? With no redeemable kind of factor about it. Something that is very strange for me is the pathing of the Direwolves jungler. It's very wonky and random, I would say. And, you know, it's very inefficient, but it's working, right? So who am I to complain, you know? It's really, you know, seeing his wolf spawn, his blue about to spawn, and then he's like up in topside and whacking about, you know, it's absolutely crazy. You know, this Shenfire guy is just he's just a genius. Alright. So that happened. Alistar came out of base first with the Mobies and warded up bot side jungle. They can make a safe assumption that Ezreal is in top side, but I don't think they're in any danger when they're doing this gank. Impact flashed earlier to get the kill, and it's a free pickup. 2-6. Alright. You know, it's a really hard situation because from the deaths from before, they ended up with having no information. Alright. I'm just thinking, like, if they could have... usually, this replay is kind of messing me up here because I want to take a look at what's going on. If right here, you know, Alistar is roaming, I'm thinking if this would be a moment for Cloud9 to contest the vision around mid. Like, Jensen has an advantage in mid, which they could use. If Ezreal paths into mid here and Rakan also went into mid and defended these pings, then Direwolves wouldn't have the deep information that they got off of this play. I think definitely they could have defended this. I think this is a mistake. You know, Syndra has had way more presence in mid. Maybe the thought process was that they are too behind. Could be the case. I just don't see from this position how you gain information. Right here, it's hard to get information. Gotta play it safe. Bot lane is not gonna get ganked, right? You can only make assumptions, and assumptions are not fun to play by at all. This gank is good, even though they don't have information on Ezreal. Like, they should assume Ezreal is topside, right? Because of this vision and this information, and also his camp spawning there after he did golems, etc. And his raptors dying in front of his nose. Even if Ezreal is here, it wouldn't make a difference, right? It would make zero difference. So far, I'm not too impressed by the Ezreal. You know, Ezreal will scale good, but not even. It will be fine as a champion. Ezreal gank on Vlad. Holy moly. Insane. He just doesn't have a pull button, or he just refuses to pull the Vlad. Okay, Banana didn't take the blue. I'm not too sure about who wins 3v3 bottom. I think Sejuani is way more useful than Ezreal, so I'm gonna give it to Direwolves as long as Rakan and Kalista are not 6. I think when Rakan and Kalista are 6, then things can get interesting. I'm wondering if this would be a good time to just Syndra had base priority, so Vlad has to go. I'm just thinking if there was a way for direwolves to get river priority before. I'm thinking the only play that Sejuani has here is to go through lane, through tops, through bottom, and then try to create something like that. Because I think 3v3 they should be way stronger with the Sejuani ult. No, they instead go for this all-in gank, you know. I guess even if Ezreal would be here, would it matter? I'm not even sure. Oh. Holy. Fire, man. Good stuff. He's dead. Alright. They're smashing Cloud9. Like the play worked, right? Sejuani made a lap around mid and then went into bottom. Good stuff, good stuff. I was just thinking, you know, if Ezreal was here, would it be bad? No, it wouldn't be, because Ezreal is useless. Like, what would Ezreal do? Like, Ezreal wouldn't do anything. Like, he would maybe hit the Alistar a bit and then proc his Storm Raiders. Like, Ezreal was useless, man. Really, really useless. Like, sure, Ezreal's fancy and all, because it should be hard for you to die against these champs, but I am starting to think that this champ is more and more useless as we go, you know? It's crazy. Alright, so the gank bot side transitioned into steal of the red buff. Ezreal has flash, but he also has a Syndra, which is in a lot of cases better. Sejuani gank again. Crazy. I'm surprised by how often Smoothie just runs straight to bottom instead of grouping up with contracts around mid and playing around mid. I think this is something that's been severely lacking this game. Because usually the way C9 has been taking river control is pushing out bottom and then going through river, but if direwolves match this by going 3 into mid and then into